Yeah, we had like 10 people.
Okay.
All right, and we are live.
What's up,
Nobody,
everybody?
nobody watching it though. Zero
Um,
viewers right now.
No worries
Yeah.
about it.
So we'll start in a few minutes. Think of the name Jump Point Monkeys.
I agreed with it when I read it. I was just trying to. The kids hadn't ate yet, and they started eating right when we got there. So that was kind of the holdup.
Okay. Did you post a new thing?
Not a new thing. Do you want me to put a whole new thing all together, or
Yes.
just okay? All right,
So-
two people,
Two
two
people?
viewers so far.
Okie dokie. Hey, Omega, what kind of alcohol?
What was that?
What kind of alcohol?
It kind of seems like a whiskey day.
Well, I freely admit I'm a on the wagon type of guy.
Ah. That's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. My dad was kind of an alky, so he was continually off the wagon and being run over by it. So
Yeah, that's that's not good.
Keep in mind that you're being broadcasted.
oh, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't mind.
Okay.
I've come
Then
to
it's
terms
all
with that
good.
a long time ago. I ain't got the
Same
angry white
here.
fever. Yeah. Well,
So-
no, go ahead.
So
So
this over here is my favorite poster that I have in my hangar. And the reason being, what you see there is Cologne. And I grew up in Germany, not very far from there. So that little cathedral, well, that huge cathedral that you see in the background there, those two spire towers, I've actually been there quite a few times.
I'm kind of surprised that would still be up after all this time.
Dude, the city where I grew up in, like I said, not far from Cologne, it's an old ancient Roman town, and there's buildings there that were built by the Romans 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's very awesome. Well, see, I'm dirty south, so I live near Memphis, Tennessee, and everything's like all you know. If you can find alcohol and guns, this is like the place to find it.
No, I should go over there sometime then.
It's really interesting atmosphere. Memphis.
We're starting in 2 minutes,
almost-
by the way.
Well, I know
Oh,
that,
that's-
Bruce. Just kidding, bro. Just kidding.
I can't hear halfway. Hang on, give me a second. Let me adjust my mic too.
So, Jeremy, in order for you to see the questions people put into chats to interact with the audience, you probably want to pull up my Twitch stream in a browser
I'm
window
about
there
to.
somewhere.
I'm about to. That's actually what I was doing in the background. All right, all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're getting echo, Bruce. Because I specifically closed my browser window with my Twitch stream on it for that not to happen. Let me just double check, make sure it's closed. Okay, yeah, it was closed already, but I closed my browser altogether now. Are you still getting echo? And any new people coming in, just post a quick hello in chat there, because I can't see who is actually coming in new. I only see a number pop up, but I don't know who's actually in, and I would definitely like to greet any newcomers.
Okay, are you guys ready to start?
Yeah. Let's get this
Jeremy?
going.
I'm good for go.
Okay, hello and welcome to the very first broadcast of Jump Point Monkeys. I am one of the hosts, Jake, the captain. We have Jeremy the pirate and Andre the xenoarchaeologist.
Or just scientist for short.
I prefer Dread Pirate, but yeah, that works.
So, yeah. Hello and welcome.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing started here.
So yesterday we were talking about a little bit about Vanduul religion, which was quite an interesting topic. So do we just want to start off with that topic, or what did you guys have in mind?
I'm fine with we can revisit that if Omega is willing to do that, Jake.
Yeah. So the thing about that was everything we were discussing was completely theory crafting. There's very little that we know about the Vandals so far, other than they are almost like a Spartan race. They obsess over knives and they like to kill people.
And from what it looks like, they are clan-based, so there might be tribal infighting. There might be some other kind of conflicts within them. We don't really know if they're a unified front, but we know that each kingship hosts its own clan, if you will. So if you were to take out a kingship, for example, you're supposedly taking out an entire clan if you manage to do that. So, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Alright, so what I was wanting to go ahead and discuss with them is that every Vandal, whenever they're a youngling, or however you want to call it, they're about the age of 14 in, I guess, Vandal years, UE years maybe, they are given a knife. They are made a blade, if you will, to be symbolic of, take this and learn from it and survive and become tough. At the age of 14, like they go through the same Spartanistic ritual where go out and make something of yourself. The family is no longer a family unit, but they are a collective unit that actually would function together. I've read this somewhere. Somebody, if they feel like they would want to, they can go and check maybe find the link for me. But the basics of it is that at the age of 14, they're now considered a Vandal, a mature one, and that they should go and try to please and impress their heritage. The theory that we actually had about the knives was that it ranged from anywhere from this is a token of our appreciation and love, to it could be a social security card or a USB thumb drive, because how would they keep records of who they fought and how many people how many conquests that they achieved? The idea that came to mind is that, and if you hear any background noise, I do apologize. My 3-year-old. The idea is that this knife would follow them, and if you're found with a knife, that you are in some really, 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 really deep crap. So that's just one little way of that we were discussing about.
Another one of the theories was that essentially the knives are the Vandals' version of our Moby Glass, or as we're oversimplifying it, our cell phones. People actually seem to like that theory a little bit. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. It's from the perspective of we don't know what their common token device is. Like everybody even in the world today has a cell phone, or they all have cars, or they all have something, right? So we don't really know what Vandal culture would be like. So my idea was that you would basically start the scythe by putting the knife blade into an insert socket and says, yes, this is actually you. I recognize the pattern. I recognize the information coming from it. And so it was a possibility that as they shot people and as they fired and as they did everything, that knife would actually transmit to all their belongings, basically like a key to their house. Even it would go as far as to say it would have an individual record on each and everything that character ever did. So
well,
it's a really
why
fun
would
concept.
it have to be put into something? It could easily just be essentially RFD like technology, where as long as it's nearby, it registers.
From a security standpoint, I work for the Navy, and what it is that it's what you have and what you know. So basically, in the Navy, just to get into a doorway, oftentimes you'll have to have a card, and then you'll have to know a number. So it would be the same thing. Basically, they would have to have the knife, and then they would have to know a sequence of keystrokes or something to that effect. And that way, it would actually function as a key.
Is that how you get into Humvees?
I don't know about that. I'm Navy, not not Army, man.
Well, my point is, the knife could very easily, well, considering it's much more futuristic technology, the knife could very easily just not transmit its data unless it is able to detect its owner. And that would...
Okay, okay. Looks like we're back online. Sorry about that,
Okay.
guys.
Hey, man, there's a first time for everything. We're first out of the gate doing this, so this is ground level. We apologize. It's a little bit raw. I mean, yeah, we're learning how to do this, so no biggie, okay? So, some of the other topics that we wanted to cover was Endeavor ship modules. What would you like to see? What would I like to see? So, Omega, do you have any ideas since we talked last night?
Yeah, actually, I've been talking to several people about the Endeavor, and one of the things that I keep hearing is about the biopods that come with the Endeavor. People are talking about essentially using them to grow illegal goods close to planets that those illegal goods sell very highly at.
Yeah, basically, it would be, where it might be legal to grow one place, it might be illegal to manufacture in another, so they would just grow it in their ship and then send it on. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, considering the size, since each biopod is what, half an acre? No, is 1/4 of an acre per biopod. That's, even if you have 4 on a ship, that's not very much room for growing. You've got an acre of room for these plants, unless you have like super tomatoes that grow 1 million per bush, you're not going to make a lot of money off of it. It's a lot cheaper to grow on the ground. Now, of course, it would be an efficient way of growing for a small space station that only has 100 people. In that case, it could sustain them. But it would, in most cases, be cheaper even still for those simple foods to be grown on a planet and then shipped over to that station.
Now, see, I like this topic because I can actually play with this idea. So, I'll give you a real world example. Ginseng. Ginseng is, it's going to need a very moist environment. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, I'm not a ginseng expert, but I'm going to assume that it needs a moist environment, it needs a shady environment. It's probably going to need a temperate environment. So, what these biodomes can do is you can take a really, really rare, in theory, if they allow it, you can take a rare earth plant, or you can take just a rare plant in general that has to have fine-tuned settings. It needs X amount of sunlight, it needs X amount of water, X amount of these conditions. And given that you can go back and forth on the green band, back and forth, then you would be able to find that sweet spot of where you can mass produce such a really, really rare commodity. And so that would be another aspect to look at, and that's where it would actually pay off. Is you're not going to want to grow corn on, on a flying ship. That just isn't going to make sense. If you have a perfectly good planet down below you that's more than capable to do it. Something to consider is also. Go ahead.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but I'm not convinced that. So basically, what I understand, what the way I understand what you're saying is to use the biodomes to grow rare plants and then sell them up as a profit, right? Okay, so
Yes.
the biodomes already are already limited in size. So
Certainly.
it would seem that it would make a lot more sense to use biodomes on a planet somewhere to do large scale production, whereas I would see the usage of biodomes in the Endeavor mainly for self sustainability.
Well, that's an accurate statement. The thing that I'm highlighting the most though is that could you imagine how much a cup of coffee goes for in Antarctica? The point is you take that item to that location that just can't grow it. You take that item to say what Crusader, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is that the snow planet? I can't remember. It's in the Stanton system. Point is you take the item to an area that just absolutely has no way of growing that particular rare item, and then all of a sudden it's worth a fortune because nobody's ever been able to get there before, or it might get damaged in shipping, or there's a number of other. You basically are moving to your market. That's
So
the freedom of
here's
the
my
ship.
immediate question: why would a planet like that not be able to build their own biodome?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, maybe the surface environment's just too harsh. I remember there's a
Okay.
bounding world that is it's basically the city itself is a giant tunnel into the ground, and that
Okay.
if you were to try and actually walk onto the surface, it would be nothing but wind, and it wouldn't be able to actually hold infrastructure.
Yeah, whereas a completely ice planet, even with a biodome, it's going to be too cold to grow things.
And without lights, you'd have to have internal fluorescent lights to actually do
But
that.
the same goes in space, though. I mean, space is going to be cold. There's going to be hardly any sunlight unless you're close to a
Well,
star. So, I mean, that's the whole point of biodomes, that you have that artificial environment contained
yeah.
within the dome.
We can basically take you're never going to be able to grow plants out past the green band anyway. It's just not going to let it happen. Basically, you would roll up to a certain part in the green band, and if it needs a colder environment, you'd go further out. And then if you need a hotter environment, you'd go further in. You could really just kind of pick the temperature. That's what they were stating about the particular biodome species, the functionality of the particular module. What
Yeah.
module would you like to see, Godric?
I'm a big fan of the biodome, mainly for self sustainability. I see the Endeavor as basically um, a mobile space station, if you will.
I was actually told one thing that was a very fucked up idea. Just so evil, but so genius at the same time. You essentially outfit the Endeavor as a hospital. And from what I understand from Death of a Spaceman, is when you die, you are automatically transported to the nearest hospital. If this Endeavor is registered as a hospital, has the medical pods and the hangar, and then you have pirates just come in and kidnap the people as they're brought to the hospital.
No, he meant spice on Earth, not spice
I
as in
know, I
as in
know.
Doom. Oh,
I'm
okay.
having fun. I remember the Spices Dune. I remember the Blue Eyes and all that. That was a fun
But
movie and it's a fun book.
but yeah, I mean it's true. I mean it was specifically it was salt. It was literally worth its weight in gold at one point in time on Earth.
Yes. It makes me think of also another weird commodity. People don't realize it, but the Washington Monument is capped in aluminum because at one point they didn't have an easy way to bring aluminum out of the ground, and come to find out it's everywhere. They just didn't know how to make it. So, at the time, aluminum was like the most valuable of metals because there was just so few of it.
Iron for a while also was, but that was way long ago.
Anyway, we kind of let's see. The for the modules and for the pods that we have, what I actually am interested in most for the ones that we currently have is the telescope. I feel like that's going to make the explorer job a lot easier. It just seems like it would be something fun to do, to just be able to sit down and pick a node and just start scanning and looking and looking and looking and finding things, and being able to retrieve the information without ever actually having to fly there. That almost seems like kind of like cheating for the explorer guys that are actually having to hoof it out there and actually go out and find it. But at the same time, it seems like it would be the most fun to me. Now for hypotheticals, I had made a post a while back on a super weapon, and what it is hear me out. Just don't blast me. The idea was is that the Manhattan Project was a critical part of science, and that you should consider the fact that science actually won that war, World War II. The basically there's a certain amount of beauty in it because the Endeavor is a very very fragile, very unprotected ship, so it would need fleet security out the yin yang. We're talking like one bullet costs millions of creds just to be able to fire one shot, but we're also talking about something that could turn the tide of a particular war. Like it could actually cripple a king ship and knock out an engine, or it would basically it would jump in, it would charge up, fire the shot, people would protect it, and the enemy would just automatically gun for it because they knew what it was. So I mean, it would be a 6x2 slot. And that was just a fun idea. It isn't anything that I actually want to have seriously implemented. I just want the community to kind of actually give that some consideration, because we're supposedly at war with the Vandal, and I understand the player base wants to have a non-combat oriented ship, and I can respect that. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, if we're at war, then every single ship was used for a wartime effort. The cruise liners became troop transports. Some of the planes got retrofitted for different kinds of purposes. Everything was in one way or another, linked to the war zone. So to have a ship that's just purely science and just
Every ship can be turned into a combat ship by strapping a gun on it.
oh well yeah, but I mean I wanted to give it a unique role. I don't want it to be a fortress. I don't want it to be a Death Star. That's not what I'm saying. I want it to be You're my 3-year-old? Yeah.
A scientific research vessel that can basically be turned into something to facilitate the equivalent of the Manhattan Project.
Littlefoot entered your channel
Basically,
general
you
chat on the
want an
server.
elephant with
Hi,
a
Littlefoot.
cannon on it.
What up, fellas?
Not much,
Hey.
not much.
What's up, dude?
So that you're aware a little, we are streaming. So if you want to stick around, you're welcome to. I guess. Nice meeting you.
I don't care. I stream and do YouTube stuff from time to time as well.
By the way, guys, you're free to post questions on the Twitch channel, and we will answer them in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Can I get a link?
Give me just a second.
I gotta figure out which
Message
monitor I want to build on.
received.
I have 4 hooked up currently.
All right. So, does anybody else have any hypothetical Endeavor ship modules they want to throw out there?
Well, you can always put the hanger on it, and then the what's it called? The Super Collider, which is used for tweaking components.
Yeah.
You get an M50, put it in the hangar, and you can start tweaking its components. Essentially, turn the Endeavor into the best racing support ship you can get.
Be a hell of a chop shop.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
the Endeavor is a really exciting ship.
I like the flexibility myself. It's you got a little bit of everything, to be honest.
I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
here's the thing too. I mean, the only reason I've gotten as good at dogfighting as I have is because I know there's just not going to be any way around it in the verse. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I'm much more into exploring and non-combat type of gameplay. Yeah, dude, I can't afford an Endeavor. I mean, it's a mini aspect. It's my dream ship, but I just cannot afford that. So I'm just gonna have to save up creds in the verse or fly with you, Bruce.
Are we ready to move on to the next topic, gentlemen?
I
Do you
think
wanna-
so.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about for a second. This one might not be as entertaining, but it might be because people probably haven't considered it. Currency exchange. And what this is that okay? I asked myself the question. Okay, so we know all about UE credits. We don't know a thing about Xeon currency. We don't know a thing about Banu currency. We don't know a thing about Von Duel currency. So the question that comes to mind to me is how would an exchange rate actually happen? If I wanted to turn my currency from UEE to Banu, or from UEE to Xeon and back and forth, would there be a place? Do you think that's a hypothetical that would be implemented in the verse, or would they all just run off of credits?
I do not personally think that the Banu will have their own currency. They are basically a race of traders. They go and trade with other races. That's their
Yeah.
whole thing. So it wouldn't make sense for them to have their own currency because it would make it more difficult for them to trade with other people. I think that it's a matter of if they're trading with humans, they're going to use human currency. If they're trading with Xeon, they're going to use Xeon currency. And if they're trading between the two, they're going to use both.
So what about for themselves? Go ahead, Littlefoot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
From what I understand, it's supposed to be the UEC is supposed to be essentially a unifying currency in the game. Like, is this a hypothetical question or a more literal question?
Well,
This
it's
is a-
theory
it's-
crafting.
Yeah, it's basically you're open to your own interpretations.
Okay,
The
well-
idea that comes to mind though is that we can look in modern times and see that people just absolutely love the euro. So
Well-
you could just imagine adding another few races to the mix.
I guess if you look at it from objectively, maybe the wrong word, pardon my illiteracy at times. But given that in the essence of the game's lore, however limited it may be currently, although it is still fairly rich, regardless, digressing topic at hand, the humans have had interactions with pretty much most of the alien races around them for 400 or 500 years. And
Yeah.
so it kind of makes sense to a what a design from a design standpoint to have that unifying currency. If there is individual currencies, that'd be kind of interesting. But I feel like that would just, with the way the economic system's supposed to work, I don't know. And as far as Vandal currencies, I figured they just traded like their severed fingers of their fallen foes.
If they even
Why
trade.
fingers?
Well, I mean, they could do scalps, but that would just be, I don't know, it might offend some people.
Yeah, let's not talk about other members here. We're not at that point yet. Oh boy. Anyway.
Sorry.
All right. So, Godric, what you got? Omega.
There's really not much to talk about that beyond the possibility of a unifying currency or only using a couple currencies. It's actually very simple and, in my opinion, kind of a boring topic.
It's fair enough. I was just thinking that the Banu would be able to like swim the less left or right, and I figured that the Xeon wouldn't trust our currency. So what the question really delves into is what do you think? What do you think these things would actually? How would they affect the game? Basically, would you find Xeon prices higher, than Banu, but the Xeon's maybe more reliable. We got to understand when we look at a currency, we look also at a person's reputation that's actually handling the currency. So that's the reason why it's on there. It's just a curiosity, a little bit of a curious thing. Moving along, let's talk about space stations for a minute. Now, what we're wanting to talk about here is just a simple question. How would you go about attacking a space station from your own standpoint?
Well, it would depend on what kind of defenses the space station has, obviously. I mean, what type of space station are you attacking? So
A gold
a space
horizon.
station is probably gonna have some guns on it, as well as some spaceships. So it would be a matter of taking out, the guns and the shields first. You would need different teams dedicated to different objectives. So one would deal with the guns and the defensive spaceships, while you would have another team that would be dedicated to boarding.
So, in my opinion, the most efficient way to attack a space station is obviously, as Andre said, multiple teams. I would most likely, if it was my group, we would have the Idris attacking head on to keep focus on us while a couple of squads of grunts just go in the front door via Redeemers, just blasting through the hallways, and then the third team would essentially be a more special ops style infiltration using a prowler, go in through the back door, either disable gravity or disable life support, and start holding the key spots, choke out the enemies. If you can avoid fighting the enemies head on, basically force them to be on the offensive while you defend spots in their own space station, they will lose. And if you can kill them off without having to shoot them, like turning off the life support, then it makes it even easier for you.
Well, then there's also the question: what do you want? I mean, do you want to destroy the space station, or do you want to capture it? What's your ultimate objective there?
Let's see. I'll go ahead.
So that would completely change any strategy.
Actually, I
Alright.
would disagree a little bit on that. There's no real reason to destroy a space station unless you know that you cannot hold it. But even then, it's easier to destroy it from the inside than the out.
Well,
So,
space stations are also persistent objects. which I'm guessing needs to be destroyed. It's gone forever.
Yes.
Certainly.
If they're going that literal with it.
If you have an issue of this organization is holding this space station as a strategic point and they are screwing over your organization, you've taken it several times, but they keep taking it back, then at that point, the best thing to do would be to take it one more time and start blowing it up from the inside. It'll be far cheaper than trying to attack it head on. You'll lose a lot less people.
See, I like your talent. I like your neck with that one. But hang on, I know you guys can't see it, but let me put on my pirate hat just for a minute. All right. First off, space station isn't. I don't look at a space station for me to ever keep. I look at a space station for people to fight over. So I have Organization A, and I really don't like Organization A, right? So Organization B, I don't like them very much, but I happen to know that they don't know where Organization A is at. Well, why don't I play my enemies against each other, swoop in, take whatever it is that I'm wanting, and then go right the hell back out? That's you gotta understand. Don't let somebody bear the brunt yourself. Be basically a pirate and a hacker are both lazy, and so just go in and in all the chaos, mop up, and yeah, we won. Hey Charlie, what happened? The idea is really simple. You go in and you take this thing, and then you take the space station. You pick up the ships, pick up the loot, and then haul ass back out of there. And now Organization B doesn't like you, and A doesn't like you, but they still don't like each other. So they're never going to actually shake hands and come after you. And you just hauled off with all their stuff. That's how I'd insult a space station, right there. I'd play my enemies against themselves.
See,
Now, I do like that. However, why would you essentially gamble like that? Say
because it's chaos. It's fun. Even if I don't ever actually go in there and actually do anything. See, I'm holding off. I'm like,
that's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm saying essentially by sending in Organization B to attack Organization A, if B's smart, they're going to be defending their position from behind as they push up. And also, you're saying, why take the brunt of the force when you can have somebody else do it? In my opinion, why take the brunt of the force when you can trick the enemy to putting that force into the wall in front of you?
My idea, basically, with what I'm thinking of when I see this, has to stem from the fact that if I'm going to go ahead and let them attack, the thrill of victory is going to completely offset them. And so that's the reason why you could just go in and mop them up, is because they're already crippled, they're already wounded, they're already upset, and so you could go in and it would be easier. I get what you're saying. It's just it's different takes on it. I don't ever look for the space station to ever be anything that I would personally want. I see it as a big giant target on my back.
So why not blow it up?
Well, that's the thing about it. I want the loot to keep coming.
What is it? See,
Ain't that a great reason?
my playstyle for the game is going to be a little more, gosh, how would I say it?
Mean?
No, well, to some extent mean, I guess, yeah, but it's more focused on a specific set of tactics.
All right, so
Suicide Squad assassination. Let's just leave it at that.
I do have to say that for the whole piracy thing, why would you also stay in this area and keep attacking the same space station? Your people are going to catch on really fast.
No. You're misinterpreting. You never stay in one spot. You just have okay, so what you do is you pick 7, 8 stations. You know where they're at. Everybody knows where they're at. Well, what you're doing is if you destroy a station, you know that the loot will never show back up. And so basically that's like cutting off a node. It's like basically preventing currency from ever going to that spot again. Eventually, if everybody did that, then the money would never ever leave the safe zone, and there would never be a reason to go out and actually you take a risk.
Unless you have these 8 organizations in this area, and there's 8 space stations, and then you're the 9th org.
Well, I mean,
As-
when I
as
say
is-
8 areas.
Well, just hear me out here.
Okay.
As is, the other orgs have no reason to fight whatsoever. And if you can find a way to get 2 of them to fight, and whichever one attacks a space station, you go in, wipe them out, destroy that space station. Suddenly, it's like musical chairs. You have 8 orgs, 7 space stations. They're going to start pushing on each other.
The domino effect.
Yeah, now you break that down to maybe 4 space stations, and you've got constant fighting between these space stations. Whenever one weakens enough, you go in, break their shit, steal their stuff, and leave.
It makes sense.
Essentially, what you're doing is you're creating voids.
Well,
These areas are no longer useful, so people have to move on to the next area that's already got people there.
Well, here's another thing. As a pirate, as a bad guy, as a pseudo bad guy, I'm not saying that I would actually just deliberately. I'm out for profit. I'm not actually out to hurt people. I'm not out to offend. The reason why I would not. I understand that will probably happen, and you're probably 100% right that it will. I myself would never personally destroy the station because I don't want that rep. I don't want that person, that group of people chasing me.
No,
Because
that's why you
realize-
trick somebody into destroying it for you.
Well, yeah, if you can manage to do that, but most of the
It's
time
not
they're
hard.
going to be focused on trying to get it themselves. Does anybody have any additional thoughts?
I don't know, but the topic, for whatever reason, reminded me of a post I made almost 2 years ago on the forums about stealing toilet paper to cause social and economic distress. It actually got really popular at one point.
Let's see. We can discuss. We got.
Actually, let's discuss Caustic Arms. There's a Galactic Guide that went up a few hours ago.
Caustic.
Yeah, Caustic Arms.
Aren't they the ones?
They're basically the cheap guns of the galaxy.
Well, yeah,
And-
they're the discount guns.
Yeah, it's basically Star Citizen's version of High Point.
AK-57, A-47. Sorry, I should be hurt for that.
The
AK-47s.
all the Kalishnikov spin-offs.
Yeah. I mean, I've read the post before. It'll take a minute for me to brush back up with it, but I want to say that I was interested in what they had to offer because they're so dang cheap, and they always seem to manage to get those government contracts and make the weapons look good and make them look safe. That almost sounds kind of like the American policy right now, somewhat.
So, my question is, are they good? Like, would you use these guns?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the scenario. If there's nothing else, obviously yes. If they're reasonably cheap and they're reasonably easy to maintain, then yes. If they're cheap and annoying to maintain, then no. It really is a matter of convenience versus cost versus time put in.
Essentially, what you're saying is, if they're Star Citizen's version of the AKs, then yes. If they're Star Citizen's version of High Point, then no.
Right. We don't want to have like something that if you get a single grain of sand in, it just won't fire. I mean, that's not gonna cut it. You want to actually have something that's going to be reliable. It might have a wider spread. It might not have as tight of a firing cone as some of the other guns. But I want to have a reliable backup, and that's what I would be using it for until I found a better gun. It would be a backup, even at that point. So like. Maybe I found my shotgun, but my caustic is still a pistol. Then I'll keep the pistol because I want to have a reliable weapon, and I don't want to actually have to worry about ammo. That's one of the big concerns. I don't want to worry about ammo, and I don't want to worry about it malfunctioning on me. So that's one of those elements of the game. The more something is used, the more chances of a hiccup happening. So that's to be determined.
Would you buy them for your grunts? Say you have a pirate org of 50 people that you're leading. Would you use these? From a financial standpoint, it seems like a great deal. You know, you're getting 50 guns for the price of 20. And
Well, that really does depend. I mean, if I'm buying guns for my grunts, I'm obviously doing better than I think that I will be. I don't expect to be the successful pirate. I'm not too worried about that. The big shebang is that I would tell my individual org mates, guild people, however you want to call it, that I want them to do whatever's the most comfortable for them, and I would give them advice. If I find that Kostak would be a really, really good starter or even a good mid-range weapon on the higher middle tier, then I of course recommend it. If they are going to be a gun that I would recommend to my crew, if I had the money, yeah. I wouldn't want to have anything that had to do with electronics, because we don't know if electronics are affected by plasma weapons. Or if we don't know if electronics are affected by the EMP, the plasma weapons. If an EMP grenade goes off, is your gun fried? That's one of the questions I have. So that's a weakness in my mind. I'd rather have they can have an electric gun, and then they can have a combustible gun. If I'm not mistaken, Kostak is combustible. Am I mistaken?
I believe you're correct.
So I mean, get a combustible and get yourself a backup weapon. And whatever your primary is, I'm not gonna say one way or the other. Everybody's got to use
I have
it,
the
so-
crossbow.
Show off.
So we're going to work together to steal that crossbow from you.
Actually, you could, but my crossbow does have LTI.
So we'll steal it from you twice.
Yeah, actually, crossbows for everybody. Hey, how about that little Bridgewater crossbow? Never been shot, only dropped once.
I don't know. I'm kind of a. I'd like to have the crisis bow, honestly. Just for shits and giggles. Do you guys remember the Crisis 3
So
bow,
Bruce
right?
is saying that
Yeah,
the combustible
I like
weapons
crossbows.
will not be very effective against armor.
Well, but if you remember right, though, the plasma weapons are going to be really effective against armor. Everything about this game is a rock, paper, scissors. I remember them
Right.
telling us about the shields and about the armor on the ships. And the bullets will bang up right through the shield, but they're not going to do as much damage to the armor. Where on the flip side, if a guy's rolling all plasma weapons, all bulldogs, he'll eat through the shield in a matter of... it'll take a while for them to eat through the shield, but it will actually then melt through the armor. And I'd honestly want an Assassin's Creed bow. That's just me.
Like Assassin's
I want a
Creed bow,
crossbow.
Pokemon.
I was thinking of the knives.
Across my
sorry.
room right now, I have a compound crossbow hanging up. I am a crossbow person.
I don't have a bow, but I do have a katana hanging above my desk.
I've got a rifle in my closet.
That's
Somewhere
nice.
around here,
I'm a
I have
rifle
Dodge,
person.
See,
And then-
I'm a shotgun, katana, and pistol kind of guy. I don't want to. Yeah, you'd be able to get me if I'm out in the open with sniper rifle. That's my weakness, but you're not gonna get close to me.
On the surface of my
Yeah,
sword.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I would absolutely beat you in a firefight then, because I'm a sniper.
I can sit here and leave my game on auto all day. Just leave it on and let like one of those little water birds sit there and peck the space key. Because it's snipers tend to not move from their points. Now, kudos to you if you actually move around, but usually the newbie sniper that you see in PlanetSide will go and run up on a hillside and he'll stay there for like 10 years, and it's like you might as well be chucking out confetti and saying, "Here I am."
Yeah, that's the worst way to play sniper in PlanetSide 2. What you need to do essentially is, well, play the class. It's an infiltrator. You go in quietly,
Yes.
Right.
you take a few shots, and then you move before anybody can figure out where you are.
Drop some claymores, have the stalker cloak on, sit there and just harass the shit out of them, make them where there's like always 5 guys looking for you, and harass them to where they can't move away. So they're
I've
not as
been
strong when they go
able
up the
to
next area.
stop an entire tank rush as just an infiltrator.
That's some
because-
talent, my friend.
Well, you piss off people enough, and they're going to stop and go look for you. Like, I was constantly just picking off all of their engineers as they were coming by. They stopped the entire thing and started looking for me. It took them probably 15 minutes to finally find and kill me.
Alright,
And
so go ahead.
it was great.
Alright, so just while we're going to go ahead and move along to a different topic, just to kind of mix things up, because I don't know if people are just loving the guns or if they're absolutely hating it. So we're talking about Star Citizen, and we're going to go ahead and stick to that. Reputation, who likes who? What are the drawbacks? So, who wants to start out on this one? I will. Or
This is all me and you, boy.
you got it. You got it. Okay,
We're
so
basically opposites on this. I'm the captain. It's all about being prestigious and all that shit.
I consider it being a sibling rivalry, and I do have a mouth that tends to not be filtered, so I do apologize. But the idea is that if you're a captain and you're doing good, and the UEE absolutely loves you, they're going to absolutely hate me. But they're not going to hate me as much as they hate the Vandal. So, where do you think the citizen mechanic will be like? I understand that if I have an org full of people and I'm trying to play Captain Good Guy, aka Omega up here, Jake, if I'm trying to play Good Guy, then what's going to happen if, say, I recruit a guy named Joe Schmo, he goes out and he kills a whole bunch of people? Is my org's reputation affected by that?
Yes.
The whole group gets affected by that one instance?
Yes. Your entire group will be affected by that if he's a part of your group.
My question about that though is like, if they have mentioned anything in the game mechanics on whether you'll be able to essentially ghost your character from your organization?
That's well, see, that's the thing about it. I think that while we can ghost our characters on RSI and actually go through the forums and hide our affiliations, I'm thinking that eventually, at some point, you're actually going to run into the person, and there's no hiding that they're affiliated with this org or this group or this sect of people.
If your dossier, so to speak, is redacted on the RSI website, I would imagine that your guild tag in game will not pop above your head of your ship.
We don't know though. That's the theory craft.
I mean,
I would want to say that there's got to be a way to find out who the guy is. That's first. So
yeah, because that plays into my concept for the game. And honestly, if that's not how it's gonna work, or if there's no way to ghost yourself from your organization,
why not drop?
Drop from the guild?
Yeah, drop from the organization, do your shit, and then go back. Because
there would be some logistics problems with my guild.
Well,
mostly because very few people in my guild know what the hell's going on with this.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
If you have a secondary character that you can drop and bring back when you need to do ghost stuff, then it wouldn't be that difficult.
Well, remember, I'm running a suicide squad, so the whole point is that if a character dies, and yeah, the other thing too is, that's one of the disclaimers I make with guys in my group, well, guys and girls, but is that you're gonna die. It's in the rule book. You're gonna die. Don't get attached to a character. And so, but nonetheless, it's just a mechanic that I was curious about.
See, what I'm actually, I say pirate really loosely. I'm actually planning on making myself a gray-listed bounty hunter. And what I mean by that is that if Omega here has beef with Godric, I don't care if Godric's a saint. I'll go out, I'll take him, and I'll drop him at Omega's feet. At the same time, if Godric has a problem with Omega doing that, and he wants Omega killed, then I will wait till my character is approaching character death. And the way that my personal group is set up is that once you know that you're getting close to that, you're about to die anyway, then you go out and you go on your assassin mission. You go out to your assassin mission, you go and you lay waste to the person. You have the support of the group as a whole to help you meet your objective. But you basically go in.
Good luck
and
killing me.
Well, it's not really.
Not gonna happen.
I'm not. Well, you gotta understand. I'm not actually. I'm saying it as an example. So basically,
I will hang your corpse up above my fireplace, which I will put a fireplace in the captain's quarters of my Idris just so that I can hang your corpse above it.
and you
It's
would
one of the
need to
most
do
metal
that
things I've
just.
ever heard.
We all need to take some time to talk some smack here. You need to do that just to add some taste to the place.
Well, yeah, it's a military ship. It's kind of bare bones.
Yeah, I know, but I make it look sexy if I'm a figurehead.
Yeah.
The point
Wipe
is
this off
that
your face.
see, there you go. But no, it's just a hypothetical. It was basically
You try assassinating me, I will have you captured, and I'll take a potato. I will take a potato peeler to your face. I will just
Calm down.
peel it all off.
Calm down. Listen to me. If I'm trying to assassinate you, it's because that you've become so important that somebody has wanted to kill you. That's the catch. If
Isn't
you're
that
getting-
why you're
if-
already
if you-
talking about assassinating me?
Well, that's the thing about it. I'm actually not interested in it. I don't really care. I mean, honestly, for what it's worth, the only thing that I really don't care about. I mean, you could turn around and say, before you kill me, make sure you get the guy that did this to me, and if you pay me the creds, I don't rightly care. It's a completely neutral thing. It's nothing to be offended about. It's just a business deal.
So what happens if you're paid to assassinate somebody and then your target decides to pay you more to assassinate the first person? Does it kind of turn into an auction of death? Whoever is able to pay the most survives?
Well, the thing about it is,
Or do you
is
kill
that
both of them and take all the money?
considering that what it would be, it would basically be that I know that if I'm actually after you, and being is that we know each other in a context, I would tell you, hey, I can't tell you who said that they wanted you to die, but they want you to die. Now, I want to go ahead and I will kill you, but here's the kicker: if you go ahead and say you want me to do the same thing, then I'll gladly do it. It's not it's not that I'm going to auction near myself, because I want to be a customer to. I want to be a good good service to my customer. Oh, you're perfectly fine, Bruce. If you want to let me, you're welcome to it.
Who exactly would hire you knowing that there's a chance that you'll come back to kill them?
Well, that's the thing about it, you see. It's not me, necessarily. It's my group. So the thing is that they go and they hire, and they don't know who actually was told to do the deal. I know it's not personal. It's not. It really isn't. It's honestly meant to be fun. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and grief you. That's the one thing I can promise, is if I go in and I take somebody out, I just want them to be taken out, to be done deal. I want to just clean it up and be done with it. I don't necessarily want to actually sit there and kill the same person over and over and over. And I've already made it a rule that if you've taken a contract on this person, you can't take another contract on them for another month. So that way there's no possible way that you can just say, well, my group of people are harassing you. Because that's another thing. Chris Roberts is completely against harassment. And I 100% support that idea. I don't like the new guy showing up and getting killed right out the gate. I want to nurture the new guy. I want the new guy to actually become something. And whether he's on my side or not, it doesn't matter. I want these people to enjoy this game.
What I could essentially do is, if I wanted to harass this guy way over here, I'd find 30 different organizations that are like yours and just hire one each day.
Well, you probably could, but that's the thing about it, is they're not going to openly say this is what we do, because they've already stated that the only thing close that we have to that is bounty hunting. So what I've been trying to get Chris to answer, and if you guys actually have any insight into this, then it'll be a really fun day for me. I understand that you can put a bounty on anybody for whatever infraction you want to do. So that means that you can put a bounty because you stepped on your toe. You can put a bounty on them because you killed your sister. It doesn't matter what it is. You just know that the bounty's out there. So basically, if I kill you, I get less money, but I want to focus on being of service, and so I don't want to actually operate in the bounty hunter system. I want the people that know of me to come and to get my services. I don't want to be so available. For the most part, I'm a mercenary, piratey, kind of to everybody else. But for the people that actually know of what I really do, I have a backdoor deal. That's where I'm going with it. And no, you're not getting my org name.
Let's move on to the next topic. We're starting to get kind of off.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. It's
Yeah,
we're
getting kinda
still
late.
on topic. We're still on topic because we're still talking about Star Citizen. Speed versus range. Okay, so what's the most important? Is it speed? Is it range? Is it a combination of the two? Obviously, are you fine with going slow and going forever? Do you want to blaze a trail? Let's talk about that.
Balance.
Yeah, balance is a must in this, but it actually depends on how far you need to go. I mean, if you're going from Earth to Terra 3, that's going to be about an hour and a half flight. So you're not going to want to go the fastest possible. You're going to end up running out of fuel way before you get there. So even if you know that there's a fuel station halfway there, then you could start to focus a little bit more on speed. Know that by the time you get to that space station, you'll be down to 1/3 of a gas tank and fill up from there. You're good to go the rest of the way.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it would depend on what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, obviously for racing, you're you're gonna
Yeah.
need speed, and range is not gonna make any difference. But then again, if you're like a dedicated long range fighter like the Vanguard, then obviously you're gonna need balance between the two. So I think it just really depends what your objectives are.
Well, if I can weigh in-
Overall,
Go ahead.
for me personally, I would probably have to say range, but that's just a personal choice because of the Explorer type that I plan on playing.
Yeah. Littlefoot, do you want to weigh in?
For me, it's a balance. Although honestly, I like the idea of blasting an asteroid as a live by and just sitting back and chilling. But I can dream.
You don't need to go fast if you can outblast everyone else.
Yeah, good point. The thing that comes to mind for me is that I value range over speed because I feel that stopping for having to fill up or stopping at some of the locations like, say, a gas giant is just risky. Even I'm thinking with the pirate mindset. If somebody is wanting to jump somebody, that's where they're going to do it. And so the longer you can go without having to have a fill up, without having to, I'm a clear fan of range. Now it doesn't mean I want to go slow as a dog. I don't want to go and fly 150 meters a second combat speed.
If only we had a trucker that was watching this that could, weigh in on how important range is.
That's the funny thing. I'm a truck driver at one point in my life.
You wouldn't have to be the truck driver that decided to drive through
No.
4 feet of water.
No.
Did you see that?
I was once told that when being chased by a mountain lion with your friend, you don't need to be able to outrun the mountain lion, and you don't need
your friend.
No. You don't even need to be able to outrun your friend as long as you've got a gun. Just shoot your friend in the leg and go.
Oh my god.
You don't have a friend anymore. And you tell him you're talking bad about me being the pirate. Really? Okay. Yep, the good guys, right? The good guys.
Hey, the only difference between the good guys and the bad guys is the good guys know when to be bad.
Fair enough. All right, so just another topic jump before we get done. I'm gonna let you guys pick. So we can talk about Melee, we can talk about Idris, Vanguard, Cutlass, or Brisk can ask us questions. It's just whatever.
Melee is an interesting topic to me.
I
All
like
right.
the Idris.
One
I don't
for Melee,
think we-
one for Idris.
I don't think we can really do questions because we only have 3 people watching right now, and Bruce is the only person responding.
Well, I mean, ain't no reason for him to not ask
Well,
a question, you know.
And
Maybe
it
he wants
is
to tweet.
getting a little late for me,
Yeah.
so I got to sign off pretty soon here anyway.
All right, so wrap up with what you know about the Idris, because I am clueless on that one.
Me too.
So, the Idris, a lot of people seem to believe, is the end-all ship. It's powerful, strong, has a hangar, has tons of guns, but really that's not it at all.
That's just the start.
The Idris is essentially the ultimate support ship, in my opinion. It is not great at doing anything on its own, but it's phenomenal at helping everything else do all kinds of things. I mean,
I see it as more of the entry-level capital class ship. It's not a capital class ship per se, because it's frigate,
yeah,
but it fills that gap.
It's
so that,
basically a capital ship.
Bri guy, I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. You are on Twitch, so.
I am on Twitch?
Yeah, just let you know. Say hi.
Welcome to the first episode of Jump Point Monkeys.
Say hi, Bruce.
Hi.
So, anyways, as I was saying, basically, say you have a whole bunch of cargo that you need to bring from Earth to Terra. You could put it in an Idris, but you're going to slow down the Idris. It can't hold a ton of stuff. Or you could put it in a whole E, have tons and tons of supplies, and have the Idris protecting it. Which is better.
Makes sense.
And it's pretty similar for just about everything else. I mean, sure, you could have the Idris fighting off these fighters, all these hornets and shit, or you could send out your little arsenal of fighters yourself and have the turrets essentially corral the enemies.
My
The
train
Idris,
of... Go ahead.
yeah, the Idris does not excel in any specific leading role other than being a flagship. It excels in supporting the rest of the fleet in all cases.
So what comes to mind is that the differences between the P and the M have subtle differences. The main selling point is the fact that the M actually happens to have the spinal rail gun. Do you think the P is still going to be sufficient to hold off capital ships?
So personally, the thing about the Peacekeeper versus the military variant is that although the military variant has that railgun, it's also a lot slower. The Peacekeeper is going to be faster, and it's still got a lot of firepower. If you're going up against anything bigger than an Idris, you're going to need support no matter what. Yeah, going up against retaliators, you're still going to need support. Protecting the Idris, keeping the retaliators away.
Well, saying using retaliators to support the Idris against.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Alright, just wrapping up some final points. If anybody has them, we're going to go ahead and let Andre get off of here because he's going to get up and...
Yeah, well, my last thing is, unless you are going around with the intent of destroying other ships, the military variant is useless in comparison to the Peacekeeper, because they do exactly as their names imply. The Peacekeeper keeps the peace. It keeps you safe, keeps your people safe. The military variant destroys shit. Simple as that.
I was wondering if the military variant would be a better deterrent, though. You know how...
No. The thing about it is the military variant is going to act essentially the exact same as the Peacekeeper, except slower against anything small. In fact, I'd say about the smallest thing the railgun would be useful against is maybe a Carrick.
All right. I think that about wraps everything up. Anybody have any closing points?
I think that's about it. So, this has been the first episode of Space Point Monkeys. We are going to start doing this on a weekly basis on Mondays at 4:30 Pacific time, which is 6:30.
Well, it's
Central?
5:30 Mountain Time.
Yeah, 5:30 Mountain Time and 6:30 Central Time. We will also be editing this and putting it up on YouTube, both as the entire thing and as clips of the talking points. So look for that soon.
All right,
All right.
guys. Catch you later. See you, Bruce.
Thank you and goodbye.
Got it. Go